say when there are no words. Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move them out, let them roll, from sea to shining sea. Ball, cannonball. What do you do when the mountain is there? How do you answer the challenging day? And when your back's against the wall, what do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing Project House 2 GT3 League Tier 1 for the PC side. My name is King-Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box for the first time, and to my great pleasure, is the one and only Yorkie065.
Thank you very much, KK. Very honoured to be here once again, commentating alongside you for the first time, as you say, and this is the Apex Online GT3 Tier 1 League, and this is going to be interesting because it's wet and everybody's coming onto the track.
It's very wet. Now, I did actually turn a few laps, and I mean a few laps because I was hideous in these conditions yesterday. Oh my, have these drivers got a lot to think about when it comes to particularly the standing water aspect. Oh, they are going to have a lot to deal with. Whilst there are quite a few, 21 drivers, I think a few people are having a little bit of connection issues. I've seen some appear and disappear. It's going to be very, very interesting for our drivers. A lot of work. I mean, in the actual wet conditions themselves are hard enough, but where the water collects, it really does add to that extra challenge. So Apexes will be very lively, shall we say, and that ever-dreaded turn 1 is going to be very interesting on the opening lap.
Yep, just on board with Nagrom at the moment, looking at the roof cam, just to get an idea as to how much standing water there is actually on the circuit at the moment. Well, but if you go on board with the cars as we are currently, it does give you a better idea, and you can already start to see puddles starting to form of various apexes and points around the circuit, just like there on the inside, right on the apex of that previous corner. It's going to be the key point that the drivers are going to need to remember, focus on and make sure that they try to avoid when trying to get a good clean lap here in this qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge kind of bowl effect at the apex of turn 2, where Nagram's actually just coming up too. So as they stream on down to turn 1, they just have to get the braking point right, and as the field is so condensed early on, that's something I have to bear in mind. You can see where the water's already gathering, and it's just slightly past the apex, so if they catch that apex too early, the water just essentially sinks them and pulls them into the inside of the track, and it really is costing them a hell of a lot of time. Oh, a big moment of understeer there for Nagram coming through that double apex left-hander hustle water, as it's otherwise known. Now the triple left-hander. Oh, wow, through the Lambo in there. The tail really sliding. Oh, nearly runs onto the AstroTurf there. It's one of the white Mercedes chasing after him. Now through the double right-hander, turns 9 and 10. Streaming it through the chicane. You can see one of the bollards is already dead. And I suspect a few more of those will die as the race goes on. That's certainly my escape route whenever I came through there. Along the back straight, then coming towards the shell curve and almond curve. It's so easy to come and think, oh, that's dedicated there, Nagram. He's, and you, there is the exact water that Yorkie was referring to last lap around. And you can see as it's begun to gather, you catch it wrong and it just yanks the car to the inside. And yeah, I'm very glad to be in this seat rather than in the driver's seat for this race.
Yeah, definitely. So Nagram's going to be the first person putting the lap timer, a lap time actually down, and there he goes, a 1:34.5. He's currently got a bow up in front of him. Dowking's actually just gone and set a lap time as well. Suomi was the one in the Mercedes who was following behind. No, sorry, correction. It was
Bo. It was
someone
Bo.
else.
Yeah, it was Bo.
Was it Bo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's jumped back.
He's just jumped back to the pits.
Oh,
yeah,
Jardier, what a surprise!
Yeah, obviously had a pretty good race last time, coming from the back of the grid all the way up into second place, I believe, and it was Leon the Sick One who won last week's race at the Nürburgring
Nordschleife.
Yeah, two very different beasts this time round. Obviously, great challenge last week. Got a new challenge in form of the wet here. Just trying to pick out some people to actually watch. Dakuza in the M6 has had a good lap so far and has managed to set time for provisional pole position.
1:32.283 leads Jardier by a couple of tenths. The observant among you may have noticed there was a Cadillac out there. That is 9th place Andrex. He's decided to join this race. There he is. He was determined to take his Season 4 Chariot, the Cadillac. And wow, again, there's a lot of opposite lock. And that's kind of, I actually took the M6, and my God, did that thing feel like a boat. But it did. If you get the slide just right, you really can. Oh, you're going to hear the traction control, the rev limiter bouncing there off the caddy. But you get the slide just right, and it does become a bit of a flow, but it's where the water gathers that can just so easily. You've got to be on your game the whole time. You've got to be at the top of your game constantly in league racing anyway, but with the weather, it's just another thing you have to bear in mind. Where's the standing water? Where do I have to adjust my line to make an overtake or a defensive move? Because again, all of these things, whilst it's you can keep hitting the same line as everybody else where the water's dispersed, if you need to come off that line, that's something else these guys have to bear in mind. But then they are the best in the PC side for a reason.
Yeah, one of the other struggles that the drivers have to contend with as well is as this session actually continues and progresses through its 10-minute period, the track is going to get wetter, the conditions are going to get worse, lap times are actually going to get slower, so I'm actually starting to think that we're not going to really see too much improvement from any of these drivers, and what we're looking at currently with the grid order is probably what we're going to be having when it comes to the race, bar maybe one or two exceptions. There may be some drivers who are able to improve a lap time if they had a particularly bad lap, for instance.
Absolutely. I know where my qualifying time from yesterday sat me in this very steed in the M6, and again you see the tail of Dakuza's car coming around the Zeppelin curve, turn 17. Did he improve? No, he did not. On the top of the car then with Dakuza, that's following through this very rain-soaked track. This is, of course, more akin to what the drivers are going to be racing in. There's water gathering on the left, and there's that big puddle forming on the right. That's going to get considerably bigger than that. Really, really cautious coming through this double apex right-hander. And he's actually not running traction control, which the pros tend not to do. I certainly couldn't. I'd be off into the dust. I was off into the dust enough with traction control on. It makes the kind of... Unfortunately, the traction control does make the M6, as glorious car as it is, it does actually make it sound a bit like a cement mixer when you're bouncing off of it.
I quite like the traction control limiter on this car. It does sound quite good, but it does also hinder your potential acceleration as well, running traction control. That is, obviously, if it's kicking in too aggressively, then you may not be putting down quite as much power as you potentially could be if you were allowing for just a little bit more wheel slip. I think the guys, the pro guys, they're that good with their right foot that they are simply just doing without it and using themselves as their traction control system rather than relying on the car.
Absolutely great stuff. Yakuza then coming through the penultimate turn through Bauer, now into Zeppelin. That is the distinctive Cadillac from Andre, still holding on to 9th at 34.1. Does Yakuza improve? As Yorkie said, we're not really expecting anybody to improve. Nope, and indeed he did not. So we've got 2 minutes just under for the qualifying session to run out. Lamborghini of Leon the Sigma, then last week's race winner at the mighty Nordschleifer. I myself am standing in for Fizzy this evening. Fizzy was not able to make it for work reasons, so I get the good honour of being alongside our fair Yorkie, as I'm normally in, as I'm in T2 for this particular season. Oh wow, Leon getting very close to the black and green Mercedes, and there's a bit of a river forming across the track there, and that can really unsettle the cars right in the braking zone. As Leon getting quite a nice toe off the back of the Mercedes. Doesn't really help him. He's now nudging the Mercedes along the road. Okay, that's one way to do it. I don't think it's going to help either of you particularly. Look at that. Look how big that lake has formed, and it's got a river, of course, feeding it as well. And those big rivers going across the track, they're awkwardly positioned. That one there is not so bad because you're coming off of the exit of turn 3. But the one coming into the final curve in particular, oh wow, well held, sir. It's just, you catch it wrong and it will upset the balance of the car. You're trying to concentrate on hitting the apex of the Zeppelin curve on that final turn, and suddenly you're facing in a direction you really didn't intend because the water has redirected you.
Yep, it's quite easy to explain at these sorts of speeds in these cars, so it's very much a case of trying to avoid those puddles. It's also trying to find the line and find where the grip is as well. Where these guys have actually started off in the wet, there's not actually going to be that much rubber down, so running the usual traditional line is going to be an option. It's not going to be too bad, but if it was, for instance, to say start off dry, the guys did a whole load of running and got a whole load down, and then the wet conditions came, you probably start to see some drivers experimenting a little bit more, trying to run offline and trying to find out where the grip actually is. So the qualifying session is now actually complete. Leon's just coming towards the final turn, but I don't think he's going to be actually completing his lap. Instead, he's going to try and drift through the final turn. Almost held it.
Yeah.
Not quite.
That's what happens whenever I try. Oh, no, that will get you disqualified, Leon, if you go in that direction. Yeah, that was...
You may want to go to...
I think he's... Yeah, there we go.
Or the start-finish line, one of the two. So Mr. Van Orman is out on track, along with JK and also Nagram as well, I believe. Those are the only 3 drivers out on circuit at the moment. Total of 23 drivers in the lobby.
A decent-sized grid for this evening. Yeah, Leon channeling his inner Red Bull there. His inner drift king. And how his drift went there is always how mine goes whenever I try and drive the crazy Red Bull and the Mustang drift, guys.
Mr. Van Orman actually looks pretty quick, quite nicely planted, going for a lot of these corners. I'm wondering if he is actually going to improve his lap time this time round. We don't know.
We don't know.
Well, it was a 1 minute 34.1 And he has not.
He has not. So Dakuza leads the way then with Jardier 2, CJB 3, Scott 4, Dalking 5, Leon 6, Bo 7, Lusty 8, Van Omen 9, Andrex was demoted to 10th at the last there, T-Mac 11, Suomi 12, Zal 13, JK 14, 2 Desabay 15, Nagrim 16, Benizili 17, Typek 18, Aid in 19th, Rodders 20, Gamasuki 21, Shooter 22, and Daheidi did not set a time. So that is why Daheidi finds himself at the tail in his distinctive Z4.
Good job on reading the names there. I missed out the last 2 or 3 as I was following yours, so well remembered.
Why, thank you. And there is, that's Shooter, actually. Oh, we lost Daheidi already.
Nope, Daheidi's there.
Oh, beg your pardon, sorry, that caught me out slightly. I was saying that Daheidi was in the Z4, and of course Shooter is in the yellow M6 there.
Yep. Front, looks like all the drivers have got their lights on. I got their windscreen wipers going as well. And we're just waiting for the 2-minute period at the start of the race for the drivers to ready themselves, double check that they've got the right setup on their cars, double their pitch strategies, and then obviously hitting that ready button to line up on the grid and begin the manual formation lap that we do here at AOR.
Indeed, I can see Snicker. I recognise your name. Yes, I do remember you. I don't remember. I remember the Christmas Cup from last season, but I don't remember the final lap of it. I barely remember this morning, let alone something that was 10 months ago. So I'm afraid I don't remember that. But yeah, just waiting then for our drivers to go through any last-minute setup adjustments they want to do, load in the correct one, and adjust it if they see fit. We'll be getting underway soon as we can. For those unfamiliar with the GT3 setup, we will have the lights will go out in the normal fashion, but they will be ignored. Everybody will stay still, and we will then have a lap, a parade lap, which will be interesting in itself. Coming around to around about the shell curve, almond curve, where they will reform the 2x2 line. Here we go then. So the lights will now count down and be ignored. So, it always makes me laugh when I see sinking and it's raining. It's oh, the irony. So, I say the drivers now get underway, led by Dakuza. There they go, and so they'll be under no faster than 80 miles an hour, 120 kilometers per hour, which is actually a lot harder said than done in these conditions. And Daheidi's not moving. That's a big problem then for the Z4. I really hope he can get underway.
Accelerator pedal.
Oh, he's found it!
There we go. Nice little burnout there as well to get rolling. And they'll be obviously racing off to join the back of the pack. And the guys are actually already moving around to turns 4 and 5. I'm not too sure why they just split it to 2 corners when it's one turn.
But I'm with you on that one. I'm not convinced that's supposed to be a double left-hander, but our map says it is. That's the Hasser order.
A lot of camera shake there back on that camera.
It was. I thought that was me.
To put some stabilisation.
Oh, there we go. Wow, well, that cameraman's drunk. So they'll be under these conditions then until the formation point. So say no higher than 80 miles an hour, 120 kilometers an hour until they hit the formation point. Then the 2x2 line is reformed and the speed is reduced to 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. There is Andrex in Caddy. Of the pack now coming through that chicane, through the McDonald's curve. It'll be a long. You see the 2x2 there. It is. You're starting to see it reforming. I think. No, they're still doing the weaving. It's around about here. I must admit I forgot to look, but it's usually where sector 3 starts. Wow, Dakuza is actually a little way into the pack. He needs to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, he does. The other guys need to be relatively quick in actually. Getting into formation, which they're starting to do now.
Ooh, Scott,
that's the close man. Scott and the Bentley in 4th place. That's actually a pretty good result for the Bentley as well. It's nice to see that we've actually got a decent mix of cars up at the front. It's not all predominantly Lamborghini. Obviously, there's a lot of them, but there are other cars there in the mix as well. So we're just waiting for Dakuza and Jardier to get going with this race start.
Yeah. Dakuza at a point where he sees fit will floor it. there he goes. We are now racing here in Oschersleben. That actually looked quite a reluctant start then from Dakusa. He's under a lot of pressure actually from CJB in second position, but this is where it's going to really count. Who's going to forget they got cold brakes? Ooh, that's a little bit of bumping going on, but everyone seems to be going through okay. That's Bo going very wide, coming through turn 2. It looks like everybody has made it through. No one into the dust at the moment. Good to see. So now look at the pack, look at the front, and oh wow, that's Dalking trying an outside move, coming through turns 4 and 5, doesn't quite pay off. There's Bo holding on to what is that? That's probably there's two cars, Dalking and CJB. They've gone off. What a oh no, terrible. It was a great start. I didn't quite see the impact that caused that. So damage to the front of Dalking's car. He's got a long way to limp that car home before he can get it into the pits. CJB, I think he's right the way down at the tail of the field. That's Deheidi just getting through on the inside of turns 9 and 10. CJB seems undamaged, but difficult to tell always from the outside unless there's obvious bodywork damage. There's Deheidi in the Z4. I reckon he's going to do quite well, but look at that, Scott in the Bentley, side by side, Jardier and Dakusa. Jardier's run slightly out of road, but he's now going to have the inside for the Bauer curve. Oh, well defended by the M60, going to run a little bit too wide. Listen to that roar. The Bentley is not often used in this league, which is a great shame, but it's such a mighty voice. Nice kick at the tail there by Dakusa now with his foot down. Jardier chasing him all the way down. Oh, look at that. That's Leon in his Lamborghini that has just come past the Bentley. The Bentley's still going to have the inside line then coming into the first turn again. Oh, it's always such a tense moment because there's not a lot of room there. Jardier's going to have the inside line but hits the lake. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum, but he's still got the inside line. Jardier takes the lead.
Yeah, very good move there as we've got some awesome, fantastic battling, and now Dakusa is under pressure from Leon, the sick one, looking to go around the outside. A tiny little bit of contact there. Scott's wanting to get his nose in and try and poke it somewhere to try and potentially get a position. Not quite working out for him this time, but Dakusa and Leon still side by side. Dakusa's got the inside line, but Leon takes it around the outside. Very nice move there to consolidate that position, providing that you can keep it on the track. And now he's got to try and chase Jardier, who's starting to pull out a couple of colours. Scott going for an opportunistic moment. That's a little bit of contact there between the M6 and the Bentley. Scott doing the right thing and backing out of that one back into 4th place, as it looks like we've got Bao and also Suumi is there on the back of the pack here as well. So we've got a 6-car train at the moment at the front, breaking away from Lusty in 7th with Zhao in 8th, and Andrex looking, no, that was actually Zhao, sorry, going down the inside of Lusty. He's managed to get that position. Good move there, as a number of drivers are trying to make positions in these early stages of this race.
Oh wow, look at that. That's Bo. I think there's a bit of a too wide going on there. Oh, that's Dakusa. He's gone too wide in that final corner impact between himself and Bo. Suomi's now jumped up to 4th. The Bentley then is free to chase after the top 2. Lusty has got a great drive out of that last turn. He's going to go for the inside, heading towards turn 1. The two M6s are going to be side by side again. What a shame for Dakusa. It seems to be unravelling for him a little bit, but still a long way to go in this race. You can see there's 37 laps to go. And oh, Lusty and Sal side by side coming through turn 2. Very nicely done by the Porsche. Takes that 7th place. As we can expect from our top guys racing up and down the field. Jardier and Leon are away a little bit in their respective Lamborghinis. There is Lusty now under pressure by Andrex in the Cadillac. And there's a car you don't very rarely see in league racing. There's the drunken cameraman shaking the camera to bits. Now coming through the triple left-hander. Watching the M6. Oh, Lusty Andrex really's got to be careful. He doesn't pile into the back. Oh, and that's one of the Lambos. I think it was Nagram that had gone very, very wide. It was indeed coming through. It's a tricky braking zone in the dry, let alone when you've got very little traction going on.
Yep, I know all these guys fighting for grip, trying to find where the optimal line is actually going to be. Dakusa seems like, as you're saying, the one who's coming off worst at the moment, is dropping down from that pole position, down into 6th place. Hopefully he can find his feet relatively quickly, start to get his head down, focus on the guys in front, and see if he can start picking up some positions. Thought this would be one of those tracks where it would be quite difficult to actually overtake them, but these guys are proving us wrong at the moment in these conditions. Plenty of battling in this early stages. a couple of things to note. Both King and also CJB have both been in the pits earlier on this lap. They dropped way down into 21st, 22nd. We have lost someone somewhere along the line as well, now down to 22 drivers. But at the moment, we're watching this battle in front of us of Lusty and Andrex. Andrex trying to slot himself up into 8th places. Lusty's going deep. This could be opportunity for Andrex, which he does. Lusty is having to take to the grass to avoid a number of drivers. Has actually gone and dropped down from that 8th position that he was previously in, down into 11th.
Yeah, T-Mac went through as well as Lusty runs over the camera. So now the field is beginning to spread out. Jardier and Leon are gone. They've got 2.5 seconds between themselves and Scott. Scott is under a fair amount of pressure as well from Suomi. Look at this, Sal on the tail of a 3-car train. Then up to Kuza and Bo directly ahead of him as they now come through the long right-hander. This track is very much a patience, a waiting game. If you stick your foot down too early, you are off into the dust, whether you like it or not. And of course, the rain makes it even more treacherous. You can see where the water is beginning to pool, particularly offline. So there's a lot of things that these drivers have to bear in mind. Sal chasing on down that start-finish straight. There's a little bit of a look early to the apex, but not in a position to challenge to Kuza. But our Pulsitor then down in 6th, chasing on as best he can. Oh wow, Leon looked like he had to get out of that to prevent slamming into the back of Jardier. But our Championship 1 and 2 are streaming away. And there's Suomi on the back of the Bentley, looking to try and get up into 3rd, then jumps to the outside for turn 2. That's going to be brave. Oh, and that's a spin!
No, Scott's lost it.
He caught the apex too hard. That just pulled the nose of the car around, and he's managed to hold on to 4th, get through that lake before Bo managed to get to him. And he's got to regain that rhythm, but that 3-car train has not dispersed at all. On board with Sal, chasing Takuza, chasing Bo, battle for 5th position. They now come through the double left-hander of Hasselroda, and wow, that's Takuza's gone wide. He left the door open. Brilliant opportunistic move from Sal to try and get up into 6th position, and he's managed to do it. Very nicely done on the Porsche.
Yep, very, very good opportunistic move there, promoting himself up into that 6th place. As you saw, unfortunate for Scott having that little spin in turn 1, going side by side with Suomi. Very good move by Suomi to leave him enough racing room, but kind of also force the error from Scott a little bit to take that position. As you jump up to Leon, the SIP one now, still in 2nd place, chasing down Jardier. Only about half a second between these two front runners as they're pulling away from the field. They're up in 135s at the moment, whereas the rest of the guys seem to be 36, 37s apart from Suomi. Suomi's also doing 35s as well. Be interesting to see what their lap times are this time round as the rain continues to fall. Both Jardier and Leon with a 35.9, and then Suomi coming across the line with a 35.7. So he's taken 2 attempts out of the front runners on that previous lap. He'll be looking to continue that pace and try and close down to see if he can get into a 3-way fight for that 1st position.
Lambo 1, 2 and 3. Fizzy will be particularly happy about that. He has a keen love of the Italian mark. Back to this 3-way battle then for 5th position. Oh, and that Bentley's one understeered very heavily coming through the Hasselwater. There is Andrex side by side. Actually, JK throwing the Audi on the inside. I don't think Andrex was going to fight that one too much, because Andrex is a guest driver in this particular league, so he won't want to interfere too much with battling going on around him. That's why he's chosen to bring the Cadillac out, just to give it some airtime. There is Aid, who transferred across on the Xbox sides for this season. If I have remembered that correctly, he's chasing Lusty for that 10th position. Aid in the Lambo, he chases the M6 out through the chicanes. Then you can see the Cadillac of Andrex a little way ahead. Still keeps the car nice and settled and coming through the corners once again. So we can see, it's also worth noting, we can see better from the T-cam than the drivers can from the driver's perspective. That rain spray is considerably worse for them than it is for us.
Yeah, that'll probably give you a good indication as to how much the drivers are seeing, and as you can see, it's quite horribly limited in in some places it's actually going to be really, really hard to see the puddles depending on the lighting and direction. Some puddles will be quite easy to spot, like those ones there. Other ones you're not going to spot until you're right on top of them. So you need to remember where they are, note them around the circuit, and basically adjust your lines to try and avoid from actually clipping those as best as you can to avoid the aquaplaning and potentially spinning and losing control of the car. Just trying to note down on all the battles there. Shooter's having a little bit of an awkward moment through turns 1 and 2. He's got 2 Desert Pack right behind him. He's going to be having a look to try and get his nose up alongside. It looks like he's doing so. Now it's just going to be a case of who's got the better traction coming out of that corner. At the moment, it looks like 2 Desert Pack, and Shooter does concede the position from now and slot in behind in 17th place. So slight little wiggle there in turn 1 can quite easily cost you a position. That's just how competitive that this league in Tier 1 actually is.
Absolutely, indeed. So keeping an eye, I'm keeping an eye on the lap times as well up front. Jardier and Leon, 200ths of a second apart, but 3/10 quicker with Suomi behind. He's now down to 2.5 seconds behind Jardier. He is closing in. He's got his eyes very much on the prize now. Jardier will be losing time defending from Leon. Leon most certainly in striking range for that race lead. Suomi then across the line would have got 36.0 for Jardier, 35.8 for Leon, 35.6 for Suomi. He is closing in on this battle at a fairly decent pace. The more these guys fight, the more time they're going to lose, and of course the more water is going to be on track, so the lap times are probably not going to improve for a while. Oh, was that somebody? No, that was just the... I thought someone was spinning there. Was people really braving going through a lot of that water, both side by side with Takuza coming up into 6th position. The Mercedes having the inside line. He's going to have the outside for the Hassel order. What does he manage to do? Can the M6 make the turn on board with the Mercedes? Still side by side, very respectful from both drivers, well defended by Takuza to remain in 6th position.
I think there may actually be a position gained. I know he was in 6th, but I think we saw Takuza potentially drop a position, but they're losing touch to Zhao a little bit. I think, well, actually, I'm pretty sure that Bao was actually ahead of both Zhao and Takuza, has now actually lost 2 positions, so he's now to the back of this 3-car train. Zhao's managed to get himself up to the front, and Takuza has basically remained in the Porsche and Mercedes AMG sandwich. But yeah, the rain's continuing to fall. JK, who was at a good run last week, leading a good portion of the race at the Nürburgring combined circuit. He's doing pretty good in a respectable 8th place at the moment. He's just taking his time, observing the guys in the battles ahead and just picking up the positions where he can find. I think he was just outside the top 10 at the start of the race in qualifying, and has managed to make his way and make some progress up into the current 8th position that he holds at the moment.
Absolutely. Look at that 3-car train behind. That's Andrex, Lusty and ADAce. Cadillac, M6, Lamborghini streaming on down towards turn 1 once again. Very close to the M6. Oh, Lusty had the bail on that. That's why he jumped to the outside line to prevent slamming into the back of the Cadillac. That's put him right in the throes of ADAce. There you just saw Tahidi in his distinctly coloured Z4. He's slowly made his way through the field and now to 12th from starting dead last. And actually losing the back of the field almost on the parade lap, before he managed to start the parade lap. On board with the Lamborghini there. A lot of spray that they have to contend with. You can see they use, as long as they keep 2 wheels on within the white lines, they are allowed to jink over to that bit of tarmac on the right hand side just to open up the... Oh, that looked like... I'm not sure there was any... It possibly was impact between the M6 and the Lambo there, because the M6 suddenly went wide coming through that long right-hander. But ADA's really doing brilliantly well to keep the pressure on Lusty. If you get the approach to that chicane wrong, you lose a lot of pace, because of course you're trying to get the speed as high as you can for this straight. And ADA's is keeping the pressure on, has a look on the inside, not a major braking zone there, it's unless Lusty was to fly off the road. That was the only opportunity ADA's had at that particular point. There's a lot of water gathering on the Armand Curve apex there, as you saw on the left. Now coming into the last turn then. That's given Andrex a bit of breathing room in 9th position in the caddy. And another lap is complete then. Suomi is really closing in at the top. He did a 35.6. That was 0.6 quicker than Leon last time, and 0.7 faster than Jardier. So we really do have a three-way battle for the lead.
Yep, gap's down the closing. I think Leon at the moment is just biding his time. I think he's pretty happy in second place, just following Jardier, just trying to apply the light little bit of pressure and see if he can. Suomi taking a very interesting line there, going quite across the kind of across the inside a little bit. Still legal. He managed to keep his wheels within the white lines, but I guess that's an alternative line to try and basically make sure that you're at the apex and trying to reduce the amount that you actually have to turn. If we stick on board with Suomi just for a lap, you can observe as to where the puddles are actually forming at the moment. You can see Leon in front, and I believe Suomi does it as well, especially into the last corner. When you come across that river, they're basically just pointing themselves straight at the apex on the inside. Suomi's doing so more than the others, so basically just trying to make sure that it gets to the apex and slow it down enough, rather than trying to turn in once they've already lost the grip and trying to brake at the same time of that river that runs across the width of the circuit. As King-Kodiak was saying back during the qualifying session, this is where the track starts to get very, very wet, and you can see a massive puddle there on the apex of turn 2. Hotel now coming up for the exit. There's a couple of little rivers there across the width of the circuit, as once again Suomi's taking another half a second out of the guys in front of him. You can see puddles here on the inside coming through turns 4 and supposedly 5 now into this triple left-hander. We'll see if Suomi does the same line again as he did previously, or whether it was just a mistake. You can see some big puddles there on the inside, which all the drivers do manage to avoid. And it looks like this time Suomi was a lot neater, and all the guys avoiding the puddle that's there on the inside of that apex and that curving, just trying to keep the car pointing in the correct direction and going forwards.
The top three separated by less than a second now. Suomi are really closed in. Leon may be biding his time in second. Suomi, I'm not convinced, is doing the same. And that lake at turn 1, or turn 2 rather, is going to have some ducks on it before long. I would imagine that is getting some pretty amazing width across the track, but something our drivers would have practiced. Now coming through to complete another lap. Now either Suomi went for an early apex, or just that water just pulled the nose very suddenly over to the apex. I'm going to see what the lap times are. 36.4, 36.7, 36.1. And that's what's allowed Suomi to close in. We've had a couple of people coming to the pits for tyre changes as well. It is a mandatory pit stop in this race. Look at the size of that! Jumping miles away from the apex there. You'd normally hug that quite hard. Well, I'd try to anyway. Try being the operative word. But the guys are getting nowhere near it because that water is just going to really upset the balance. So, mandatory pit stop in this race, as all the GT3 races are. They don't have to change tyres, although from what I understand, the tyre wear is pretty much going to force them to do so. The tyres will make it to the end. They will have very little traction left when they get there.
Yep, that's an interesting factor for all the drivers to play on their minds. I think Suomi is obviously pushing to try and make as much use out of those tyres as he possibly can before the pit stops. And currently lap 13 out of 37, so we've still got a little bit further yet before we're actually halfway. And it'll be interesting to see what the strategies will actually be, whether Suomi decides to go for an earlier stop and try and make the undercut on Leon and Jardier in front of him. But at the moment we're watching De Heidi. He's very, very close to the back of the M6 of Lusty in front of him, and Andrex is leading this three-car train battle for 9th position at the moment. I think Andrex may be a slight cork in the bottle, and actually just seeing up ahead, JK is actually pushing Bo and trying to make a move, having a little bit of a look around the outside there. Not quite going to work for him, so he's going to slot back in for now. But man, there is action all over this track, up and down throughout the entire field. It's hard to choose where to actually look.
It's very difficult to know exactly where to be. Zal and Dakusa in a close battle for 5th as well. Slightly further up the road from that, there is Dakusa. He's actually fallen a little way off the back of Zal, or Zal's managed to leg it from the M6, either or. now nearly a second between the two, but again the battle for the lead rages on as they're coming up to back markers now. I'd imagine that could well be Typek that they're catching up to. Oh, Leon right under the rear wing of Jardier. Jardier was a little slower. Actually, all three of them were a little slower last time around. Not forgetting Scott as well in the Bentley, but he is 6 seconds behind this battle. And Scott is actually 9 seconds clear of Zal, so the Bentley can just run its own pace at this stage. These three Lamborghinis locked in a very strong battle as they catch up to one of the back markers, who will be under blue flag conditions very, very soon. He will have to get out of the way, not allowed to hold up the leaders. Oh, that's deep for Leon. That's going to put Suomi right in his case. And Suomi didn't really have an opportunity to use that extra momentum.
No, not quite, but they're coming into the start-finish straight now. Suomi taking that slightly more direct line, and Leon, the sick one, doing the same as well to cover off. I'm wondering if Typek will move out away down this straight, or whether he's going to continue to hold station from the top three, come down and into turn one. There you can see Typek in front of the guys. Will soon be lapped. Guys just tiptoeing their way around at the moment. Just trying to keep an eye on the other battles as well. This is getting very, very interesting. This is actually starting to form a 4-car train now, as Benazili is coming onto the back to join in with these guys. Heidi's having a little bit of a look. It looks like Lusty's having a look down the inside of Andrax. Andrax gives him room, moves down a position. The Heidi wanting to cash in and see if he can get a position, as well as Benazili is well and truly joined the back of this pack. But very nice move there by Lusty on Andrax down into turn one. Nice clean overtake. And yeah, Andrax didn't fight it too hard. Seems as obviously him being the guest driver doesn't want to interfere with the championship quite so much in this race.
Indeed, but he knew that move was done, as we're now down to 21 drivers, unfortunately, because actually Typek who we've lost. Indeed, it's Typek in that green Lambo who's got losses. Bo then tries to get alongside JK before they get to the chicane. Tiny little nudge would have disrupted the Audi a little bit. Bo looking to try and get past the Audi once again. This is battle for 7th position. The Merc and the Audi have been locked in battle for quite a number of laps now. So look on the inside, not really meant to be a move, just reminded the Audi is there. Did make JK go very deep. That's really disrupted his line. Wide on the exit. That was great pressure there by Bo that just put JK off enough to allow the Mercedes to slip through into 7th.
Yep, retaking that position, as JK was in 8th previously, so I think on that last lap JK managed to get the position momentarily, but has now lost it. As just taking a look, is Benazili in the pits? Yes, he is. So he is the first of our stoppers on lap 15 out of 37. I say the first of our stoppers, obviously we had a couple of guys pit very early on in this race, but he is the first of probably the more, roughly around about the right sort of time strategy wise. That's a big puddle there in the pit lane, right in front of his pit box that he had to cross there. But he manages to get the car slowed down quite nicely and gets the pit crew to work and underway. Dakuza still pressuring the back of Zal for 5th position this current battle.
Indeed.
Taking things nice and smoothly there.
As Dakuza tries to keep in touch with that Porsche. Coming through the chicane once again now, back onto the back straight. You see Stefan is accusing me of ignoring the chat. I'm not ignoring the chat, I'm also trying to fend off my cat from getting in the way. Apologies if anybody heard some noise earlier on. Watching my cat has just been interesting in standing in the way. He chose now, of course, to get involved. Back up to the front then, Suomi keeping the pressure on Leon. The second and third Lamborghinis falling a little way off the back of Jardier, but not by a great deal. Oh, Jardier hit a lot of water there. Suomi really slid quite heavily coming through too. It looks terrible from our side. It may be exactly what they're aiming for. It could be the line that they've practiced. It could be the line they're happy with. Bo brings his car in from 8th place. And Andrex brings in the Cadillac as well from 11th. So now people several people choosing the halfway stage to get their cars in. If they're going to go for tyres, that will of course add time to their pit stops. So that's another thing that the drivers have to bear in mind. If they choose just to take on fuel, then that will of course make the pit stop much shorter. They don't technically have to. They will do the entire race on a single tank of fuel. Any repairs that may need to be done. Right, from what I understand, most drivers are contemplating taking on new tyres just because the amount of time you lose, particularly in the wet, on worn tyres is pretty astronomical.
Yeah, it seems like Bell's actually gone and taken the tyres. It was stationary for a good 15, 16 odd seconds, though that's the typical amount of time that it takes to change the tyres here in the GT3 cars. Looks like that Andrex has done the same as well, so they've both got a fresh set of boots. Bo coming out of the pit lane, and he's actually got one of the Lamborghinis here for a bit of company. Jesus Christ!
Wow!
Was very, very close to aid the ace there.
Did he jump over the grass for that?
Sorry?
It looked like Aid actually jumped across the dirt Bo tried to jump across the dirt to avoid Aid the ace there.
I think Bo took the normal line coming out of the pits, which is right on the outside on the entry to turn 2, but I think Aid the ace was trying to avoid the puddle and wasn't actually sure that he was coming. That's Gamersuk in the gravel trap there, stuck. Hopefully he can get things up and running.
Oh, he's going in.
There we go.
That was a stall. Where's he? Oh, that's at the Hasser order. Oh no, he's facing the wrong way. It's not at all where I thought it was. Oh, that's the double right-hander. That's turns 9 and 10.
Yes, it is.
So
he's back underway now. Lost a whole bunch of positions now. He's now dropped back down into 20th as he was previously around 12th, somewhere along the line of that. But there's a whole bunch of people now in the pit.
Yeah, Dakusa to Heidi, Dowking all came in. There goes the Z4. That was... I don't know that Heidi took tyres in because that looked really short. He's not going to beat Dakusa out. I don't reckon Heidi's taking tyres on because I think his stop was quite short there. Suomi came in. He's in 10th at the moment. So a decent effort for him. A lot of people still to pit. There's the M6. There goes Z4. Aid the ace has gotten back ahead of Bo. Leon is in from second. So Jardier really pressing on in the lead. Who's that? It's one of the back markers. Who's that that's coming as well?
That's Gamersuk.
Oh, it's Gamasuki, yeah. Dalkey's still in the pits. Well, he must have had damage on the car because he's been in there for quite a long time. Scott in the mighty Bentley.
I think we may have just lost Suomi. I do not see him anywhere in the leaderboard standings.
He's in 10th. There he is.
Yes, thank you. So relief. I thought I lost him for a moment there because he was in 3rd position. I did see his name come up with the pit marker indicator. So it'll be interesting to see how Leon the sick one is, how close he's going to be coming out of the pit lane. So Leon the sick one is just leaving the pits now. Suomi is coming down the start-finish straight, trying to get there. He is. Suomi. So Leon the sick one going to be coming out. That's a decent game, actually.
That is actually a considerable game. 3.5 seconds to Leon's game there, or there or thereabouts.
Yeah, and he's managed to get past Shooter as well.
Yeah, that was quick.
He was, very, very quick change of positions there. So that's worked out very, very nicely for Leon. So now eyes are going to be on Jardier, who does come into the pits on this lap to try and cover off that undercut. I guess it's just their approach coming into the pit lane here as to who came in the quickest and most aggressive, and I think Leon has trumped Suomi in that sense. So Scott now takes the lead for at least a lap.
He's taking the Bentley on well into the second half of the race before bringing his car in. Absolutely fine. He may be quite comfortable with the tyre wear of his car to allow him to do that. So Jardier then comes to rest. JK comes in as well from 4th place. Leon up into 5th after dispatching of Shooter. Coming through, that's the pit lane entry. Final turn. Well, that looks a little bit deep. Wow, that was a
wrong.
quick one from
Jardier's
Jardier.
wrong.
It's going to be close again.
Very close. This is going to be very, very close, and I think Leon may actually have
done it.
Potential advantage here. We'll see as they come out. If not, it's going to be extremely close.
And he's got him.
Yep.
Jardier's behind Leon. So that was a great effort then from... I mean, we're not seeing any penalties come up, so no one's spinning the pit lane or any some such. That's a back marker getting out of Leon's way. And Suomi right behind... Oh, that's very much out of the way then on the back marker. Suomi then closing in on Shooter. That is full position, but Shooter may choose to relinquish now. You know realistically who you're in a battle with in the championship, and you may realise that those around you aren't realistically the people you are fighting against. So, and there we go, Shooter, either by design or by... No, it wasn't by design at all, as he jumps back into Suomi's way. And he has, I think he made the mistake and then thought, no, not getting in Suomi's way, and stayed very much out of it. Very sensibly done then from the M6 driver. Suomi up to 5th then, behind Jardier, who's got himself, what's that, about 2.5 seconds between Suomi and Jardier. JK on the back of Bo. This battle continues between the Mercedes and the Audi. They were the other way around last time we saw them, so Mercedes back ahead of the Audi. You can just see how twitchy the cars are. It's always very telling when you're turning left into a right-hander or vice versa. Now through the chicane section, and voila, well displayed there, JK there, exactly as I was talking about. Shooter brings his car in, so anyone close behind him will of course be released. A fair effort then from the M6 to bring it that far into the second half. There is Takuza. He'll obtain that 6th position quite comfortably in his car. Heidi is 3.3 behind him. There he is in the Z4. He's gotten ahead of that pack that he was previously behind. That he will have to... I would think he has to come in. I haven't seen the pit marker next to his name yet. Scott leads... Go on.
I think the Heidi has been in. I'm pretty sure he has been in, but whether he has taken tyres or not, I'm not entirely sure. And judging by how much he's sliding around in comparison to the other drivers around him who are doing a good second and a bit faster than his previous lap, I don't think the Heidi actually took tyres in that pit stop, as you were correctly speculating earlier.
Oh, that's close. That's very close then by the same livery. That's the Demon Tweaks livery, that green and red colour scheme. Very radioactive green there on the Z4 and on the Lamborghini. Oh, and look at the understeer from De Heidi then, as ADA is trying an outside manoeuvre. That is brave. Has he got the grip? He's got the tyres to do it. Staying right there, but De Heidi just managed to get back ahead. Bo is right there as well to capitalise on it if it all goes wrong. And right behind Bo is indeed JK. That's a 4-car train. For 7th place, Zal brings his car in from 2nd place. On this 4 chance, ADA thinks about moving the inside. Bo also looks on the inside, coming through the shell curve, now through the almond curve. And Heidi again looked like he was a little bit deep and manages to keep it on. But ADA was a little slow coming out of almond, now through Bauer, on board with Bo. He's ready to pick up the pieces if it does go wrong. Through the Zeppelin curve, then who's going to have the best drive? A decent drive from the Lamborghini. Is he going to challenge the Z4? There's Audi, it's Z4, Lamborghini, Mercedes and Audi in this particular battle. Great to see as Zal comes back out in, or is just coming out. Actually, he's going to come right into this back. Yet again, Zal, De Heidi rather, getting very sideways coming through turn 1. There is Zal. He comes out probably quite comfortably at the back of the thing. He was very cautious coming out of there. He's actually letting Andrex in the very sideways Cadillac through. So very nicely done. Scott has brought his car in, so let's not forget where he may filter out as well. What a great amount of racing going on.
Yep, as the guys are battling, and now actually looks like the battle's under pressure from JK. It was momentarily, he's going to slide back in. ADA is once again applying the pressure to De Heidi in front, and it certainly seems like that De Heidi is struggling with the tyres that he has on his car. These cars around him seem to have the traction and the grip to try and get past at some point, but the Heidi's doing a very, very good job of keeping the guys behind, putting up a very good, strong defense, as JK has dropped back from Bauer a little bit. I thought for a moment there that JK had pulled up alongside potentially or gone past Bauer, but they're still in the positions that they were previously as 8 the Ace. It's going to be looking to try and get a decent run coming out the exit of the final turn here to try and get the run down the start finish straight and see if he can get up the inside of the Heidi coming into the corner. So here we go, on board on the bumper cam. It's the Heidi kind of hanging to the right hand side at the moment, looking to defend that inside line. It's going to force the Ace to go the long way round around the outside. A little bit of contact there between the two. It's going to give Bao and JK the opportunity to close right up onto the rear of these guys as they skirt around the puddles, as JK goes up the inside of Bao going through turns 2 and 3, takes away 8th position from Bao as he goes defensive into the next turn to try and consolidate that position and hold on to it. 8 the Ace, as ever, is still pursuing and sitting very close on the rear bumper of the Heidi in front of him, trying to check out the internals of that car. As you can see, almost kissing the back bumper of the Z4 in front of him, as he's still trying and find a way past. Just saw a car there very briefly off the outside of the corner. Not entirely sure who that was that we have just lost. I'm not sure if you can figure that out.
No, I'm not sure who that was. Oh, hey, the Ace is nearly pushing the Heidi along now, going for the outside, coming through the shell curve. Is he going to hang that one around? Very well respected. He wants the inside with his next curve. The Heidi backs out of him and tries to switch back underneath the Lambo, but the Ace has got too much traction for that. Has gone up into 6th place. Very nicely done, but he's now going to defend from the mighty Z4 up to Heidi, but also with, that is... that's JK in a very short succession as well. Now onto the start-finish straight. Heidi's had a really good drive out of that last turn, but JK could well still attack into turn 1. Yep,
JK having a look round the outside, but the Heidi very, very good. Managed to get the car slowed down. I think there may have been Bao who we've lost. No,
Bao's in 11th.
Yeah, Bao's dropped down into 11th place, so he's lost the position to Nagarom and also Andrex, as well as the Heidi has gone and lost the position to JK. I don't know whether that was through contact. Very briefly, just as we picked up those two drivers, they both looked to be sliding slightly. I don't know whether that was because they're trying to outbrake each other into that corner or whether there was contact between the two, but Andrex is actually closing up onto the back of this battle as well to see if he can try and pick up a position somewhere along the line. But I think now that the Heidi has lost the position to JK and 8 the Ace in front of him, I think he may start to struggle to hold on to these guys, especially if he is on those older, more worn tyres.
8 the Ace is already a second and a half ahead of the Heidi, but JK is now in that mixture. Jardier's lost that second place to Suomi as well. It's 4.6 off the back of Leon, so Jardier does seem to be struggling a little bit more in this lap. Well, mind you saying that, he was actually the quickest of the top 4 in that last lap. Scott is still sending the pretty decent lap times. To the thousandths of a second, he's matched Suomi's lap time in the Bentley. That is exceedingly impressive. So 3 Lambos still lead the way with the mighty roaring Bentley of Scott in for the Cusa in 5th position, but he's some way behind that particular battle. 17.5 seconds separates 4th to 5th. Then ADS, look at that, he's 1.5 seconds ahead of the M6 now. He's really beginning to charge away to Heidi, was nearly 3 seconds slower than ADA's last lap around. That Z4 is just falling away, and this is exactly what we're talking about. You just lose so much time when you don't change tyres. Either that or he's just completely burnt them out. I'm pretty sure his pit stop was too short to have taken the tyres on. Andrex now right on his case. That is for 8th position. Cadillac looks set to pounce to gain that position. On board then with the long time serving top tier ace of Andrex. The Heidi is
so much more.
Oh
no, just as I say that, he caught the puddle on the inside. I was going to say Andrex just got so much more grip and was closing up onto the back of the Heidi. And then when the commentators cursed him, they clipped that puddle on the inside that just unsettled the car. That's a Lamborghini that's there.
Oh dear.
Who was that? Try and pick him up. Trying to think. Two
Oh,
desert
two
pack.
days.
It is you who is missing
Oh,
a
dear.
rear wing. And
Yeah,
it sounds like he has a box of neutrals. Or only one gear. I'm
Yeah,
not too sure.
that's not going well. That's a redesigned Lambo there. Oh dear, he's seemingly not getting any traction at all, and I think that's 2 days out of it. That looks like a parked Lamborghini, unfortunately. What a shame for him. Oh, Leon lost 0.7 of a second to Suomi. He still leads by 3 seconds though, out front in the bright green Lambo, but he lost 0.7 last time around. So there you see the white and pink Lambo in the background of Suomi. So Leon can afford for a while. We've got 10 laps to go, or just under. He can afford a little bit to kind of let off the gas, but you really don't want to be giving the likes of Suomi any kind of opportunity. There you can see at the bottom the gaps between the top few. See the ace there after that amazing battle he had. He's actually got JK on his tail again by the look. So he does indeed. The Audi has closed back in on the bright green and red Lambo. Oh, as they go very wide. But keep it on the road after the McDonald's chicane. Now streaming on down to Shell Curve. They've left the Heidi behind by nearly 4 seconds now.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible pace. A lot of mud and flies on the front of the cars. Oh, you just saw the Heidi actually in the back of the shot. Now Heidi's just fending off Andrex still. There's actually a second near enough between them. Oh, JK slammed on the brakes actually there to stop slamming into the back of the Lambo. But that, of course, killed his momentum, so it's going to give AD8 a little bit of breathing space then coming down towards turn 1 once again.
Yep. Looks like the guys. I think JK needs to get a little bit closer before he's in with any real opportunity to try and pressure AD8. That lake is getting really, really big on the inside of turn 2 there. That's just really making it very awkward for a number of these drivers. You can kind of use them to your advantage a little bit. If you clip them just right, it helps you to hook into that corner rather nicely. Gets that nice little bit of rotation. But if you do catch too much, you will slide. And that is pretty much what happened to AD8 there, as we just saw, as he did the run a little bit deeper than JK, and JK seemed to close up a car length or two. Just going to very quickly skip to this battle here, as the Heidi has now created another 4-man train with Andrex, Negrom, and also Val there behind them in close pursuit. See if he can try and take that 8th position away from the Heidi. He has put up a good defense so far and has managed to hold off a couple of the guys for a number of laps. But he's got 10 laps in order to try and hold on to that 8th position and make those tyres last.
And even at this late stage, we still have got battling throughout the field. Nagram looks like he's really getting the pressure on the caddy. Andrex then applying a fairly liberal amount of opposite lock lane coming through Shell and Armin. Oh, he's slow out of the Armin curve. Nagram's thinking about an outside move. Coming through the power curve, a little bit too wide. That's going to give the momentum back to the Cadillac, and wow, that's a lot of drifting from the caddy. Nearly 3 wide, then coming through that last turn. Bo trying to get on the inside to get a decent drive, doesn't quite get the momentum he needs to get alongside the Lamborghini, and this 3-way battle is actually allowing to Heidi to start to get some distance between them. Oh, coming into turn 1, slow down, slow down. Oh, big bounce over the curb and a punch in the face from Bo to the Lamborghini, and that is going to be 10th position to Bo. But wow, I mean, there wasn't really anywhere either of them could go. There was a bit of a racing incident there, just a bit of contact between the two. There may have been a little bit of damage on the Lamborghini, but I doubt it ain't going to be anything that catastrophic. But wow, that was a great sequence of events there. But if they start to close in on Heidi, I have a funny feeling we may see it all over again.
Yeah, definitely just jumping up to this battle with JK as well, with AD Ace coming through the chicane now, bouncing over the curbs in the right, left, right as they come out through those sequence of corners. Again, just taking a quick look at the top guys' lap times as well. Suomi is pretty much matching Leon, the sick one in front of him, Majadi 8, losing a good 5 tenths to 6 tenths of a second to the two guys in front of them.
And the guy behind him.
He's got the gap now down under 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's lost the same gap to Scott. Scott matched near as damn it, Leon and Suomi. So Jardier could well be under pressure for that last podium position by the Bentley before the race is concluded if the pace doesn't change between them. I cannot tire of that engine roar. It's such a magnificent noise.
Yeah, it's like a nice big thunderous fart, but it also sounds like a bit like a World War II plane as well.
Yes, I can follow that.
Liking the sound to that as it roars up through the rev range. Fantastic car to listen to. Stand trackside, especially with the side exhaust as well, pointing the noise straight at you as it flies past.
Heidi's in trouble again. He's been caught by Andrex. There we go. The Cadillac back on the case of the Z4. He's bringing the Mercedes of Bo with him as well. So once again, it's the Z4 under a lot of pressure. The Lambo of Nagram on the back of them as well. You can just see that Z4 just does not want to behave. He's got nothing left in the tyres. They're down to rubber bands. He's still got another, what, 9 laps to do there or thereabouts. Screaming on down out of the chicane. All 4 of them pretty much tail twitching as they come out of that chicane, storming on through to the shell curve and almond curve once again. Wow, all of them, particularly Bo, getting very sideways. I'm not sure whether Bo was doing a bit of avoidance there to not hit the back of Andrex. Not certain on that one. Again, getting very loose. Oh, wow, Andrex shines on the inside of Heidi. Heidi, can he get the traction where he needs it? Side by side now on the start-finish straight yet again. There you can only just see the Z4 on the inside. Can he slow it down? He's going to have to brake early. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Heidi dives through, manages to hang on to that 8th position. But he can't hang on to the inside. Nagram backs out of that to stop hitting the Merc. And that's Andrex up into 8th. Heidi is a determined, stubborn old soul. He is not letting that go at all. Manages to get the drive he needs. Still side by side, coming through 4 and 5 through the house of order. Oh, and the big tail twitch then from Andrex. Now 2 pairs of side by sides, 4 cars battling. Andrex does sweep through into 8th. Nagram and Bo fighting over 10th place. The Mercedes just manages to hang on. And is that Benazzini right with it? It is. That's Benazzini right behind them. So this is a 5-car battle waiting.
Yep, I think Nagram had to back out of the fight there with Bo as he's going down the inside and he's clipping those large puddles, the large lakes on the inside of that triple right-hander, which basically forced him to concede the position and momentarily pause the battle for now. But fantastic racing by these drivers up in front of us, going side by side through multiple turns. Is still the Heidi is struggling a little bit. Andrex is pulling a couple of car lengths away as the Heidi gets all over the curves and gets a little bit sideways coming through that left-hander. It's now coming to that final turn. You can see that puddle's got much bigger across the full width of the track, and you can see the Bo's really pushing the Heidi out of that final turn and down the start-finish straight, trying to pick up a little bit of slipstream, and I think he's just trying to grab a little bit of vision as well out from the spray to try and spot his braking point. It's all come down into the first turn. There's a couple of guys having a look down the inside of each other, and the Heidi sliding around still. Can he get the traction? Can he get the grip? Bo giving a little bit of a nudge there on the rear quarter of the Heidi's car to see if he can try and potentially force him there and get a position gained as Andrex is starting to romp away from these 4 guys now, as once again Battle's getting very close to the back of the Heidi. Nagram is sat there behind waiting, as well as Benazzini coming through the long right-hander as the Heidi goes very deep. The Heidi goes off the track. Can he actually save it and get back onto the circuit without spinning? Very well held there. He has gone and lost all the positions though, and he's actually out. Stopping and he's retiring. I think he's just given up with the tyres that we had. We actually jumped to 8 the Ace real quick, who's battling with JK. JK's managed to momentarily take the position from 8 the Ace at the moment, and it looks like JK's actually managed to grab and hold on to that position, slotting himself up into 6th and demoting 8 the Ace from 6th back down into 7th.
Yeah, they've been fighting for a while, those two. We've seen them in both ways round. JK ahead of Aid and the other way around. Nagram then is hanging on to the back of Bo, and Benazili is in there for good measure as well. So this four-way battle hasn't quite dispersed yet. Shame to have lost to Heidi. We're down to 17 runners now with 6 laps to go. Here at Oschersleben in the wet, Leon leads Suomi by just shy of 3 seconds. Jardier in 3rd place. He's lost about half a second to Scott, and we've just lost another from the race, unfortunately. Didn't unfortunately see who that is. We only have 16 left, but still great battling going on in the midfield pack, as we can see, and just keeping an eye on the timings as well to see if anybody else. Actually, T-Mac and Shooter 12th and 13th are fairly close. I've seen the 2 cars behind this pack. There they are. Shooter in the M6 with T-Mac very deep into the Hasselwater in the Lamborghini. Lusty and Rodders as well behind them, having a battle for 14th place. There they are, the M6 and the Mercedes. And unfortunately, Kamasuki very much on his own after his earlier troubles. There he be in the Lamborghini, but with 6 laps to go in this race, it is still all to play for. We've seen how the greats can make mistakes in these conditions, so Leon may well have a relatively comfortable lead. Him and Suomi lapping to within the same 10th of a second. Jardier really has fallen off the back of this particular pack. But Scott presses on. He gained a couple of tenths on Jardier last time around. Sits at 2.5 seconds. At that rate, you won't catch him. Oh, JK in 88. Aid's going to have the inside for the long turn 2. And actually muscles his way past the Audi. And JK falls a little bit off the circuit, losing momentum, but still right back on the power when he needs it. Now going to go to the outside for the Hasselwater. Can he slow that one down? Can he get the traction where he needs it? It looks quite good, but ADA's well defended. Aid back up into 6th place. Jumps immediately to the inside line. A little bit defending air there. I don't think JK was going to make a move. Oh, he has to hit the brakes. It's so close. You could strike a match between the pair of them. Well, not in these conditions. It'd be a bit of a soggy bump. JK gets very deep, but he's looking to try and get the traction on the exit. Doesn't quite get it when he needs to. Aid hangs on to that 6th place.
Very good analogy there, like striking the match. He probably could with the flames coming out the back of the exhaust from that Lamborghini. I reckon you set a whole bunch of alight by doing that, but it was very, very close between those 2 drivers. Obviously, this battle is probably going to rage on towards the end, as is these battle here between these 3 drivers. 4 drivers now, as Bo has actually caught up to the back of Andrex. So we've got yet again another 4-car train with Andrex at the head of it, Benazili bringing up the rear, and then Bo and Nagrom in between in the sandwich. So these guys battling and fighting hard. Just got best part of 4 laps remaining in this race to settle the scores between these drivers and try and gain some positions. Doesn't really look like any of the drivers are quite close enough to warrant an overtaking move down the inside coming into turn 1. There is that ever-growing lake on the inside of turn 2 as Nagron catches that slightly awkwardly, which pulls him into tight, which might give Benazili a slightly better run coming out the exit of turn 3 there as we come now into turn 4 and turn 5. So the guy's really struggling with grip. Benazili very nearly catching the AstroTurf on the exit of that turn. Just keeping an eye on the gaps between JK and 8 the Ace at the moment, but it looks like that this is the closest battle that we can see on track between these 4 drivers. So they're all trying to make up those final few positions in the dying stage of the race.
Yeah, Scott's made a mistake, unfortunately, whilst chasing Chardier, and has lost about 7 or 8 seconds, which is a great shame because he was honing in on Chardier. It could have been a potential battle for that last podium spot, but sadly the Bentley has made an error there as Benazili looks on the inside coming into the shell curve, opts not to go for that manoeuvre. And wow, the Lambos are so close together. Benazili trying to get, that's the problem, he goes for the switchback, but there's water there, so he can't get the traction he needs. As soon as he hits the water, you saw the nose just pitch into the inside, and then has to back out of that one. Then very, very close to nagging them onto the start-finish straight to start lap 34. Who's going to be brave enough to make a move on the inside at turn 1? Benazili, no, they hold station at the moment, quite wise. Not any of them in an attacking position, but they're very close, very carefully tiptoeing their way around this corner. Andrex under a lot of pressure by Bo now for 8th place. The Mercedes once again with the Cadillac. The two Lamborghinis having their own dance as, wow, that is Benazili going quite wide, coming through the Hasserorder, but they remain on the black stuff for now with just 2 laps to go for our leaders.
Yep, very, very good, close, intense battling. Not really much quarter being given anywhere. The thing with Benazili is he doesn't want to really push Nagrom too hard, otherwise they could potentially lose touch to Andrex and Bo in front of them. There is a little bit of a gap starting to form between Bo and Nagrom. Just a couple of car lengths though, there's not much in it. These guys are all fighting for that 8th position at the moment. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be in with a shout or trying to make an overtaking move coming into this final section of the track, as Benazili takes a lot of curb on the inside there, trying to find an alternative line to try and get a bit more ground up on Nagrom in front of him, try and apply the pressure and see if he can potentially gain a position somewhere along the line as they come out onto the start-finish line now to complete yet another lap.
Less than 2 to go then. Leon still leading by 2 seconds over Suomi. You just have to hang on. And wow, that's the caddy exceedingly sideways. That's one way to try and wrestle the car through the corners. Trying his best to hold off the Mercedes and Lambos nearly side by side again, and that's Andrex off! That's Andrex off into the dust. Oh no, mistake or contact. We didn't quite see from that camera angle as he's gone off on the exit of the long right-hander. That then frees up this 3-way battle to proceed without the caddy ahead of them. Nagrom still under a lot of pressure from Benazili. Now through the triple left-hander for the penultimate time. Leon has us begun lap 37, the final lap here at Oschersleben. There he is, there's Suomi. Flash of the lights to the M6 as they came past. There's Jardier.
Not too far behind, and as you mentioned earlier, Scott had his mistake, so he's dropped back a little bit from the guys in front of him. Dakusa holding a solid 5th position as he's coming across the start-finish line to begin his final lap now. And then JK is starting to pull away from the Ace a little bit, so we'll jump back to this battle for now, as they are the closest and best bit of action that we have on track until Leon the sick one comes across the start-finish line. He's not actually too far behind these guys, so we'll watch him through the first couple of turns. It doesn't really look like any of them are quite close enough to be really challenging coming into the braking zone of the first turn. So we'll just see them come through turn 2 here as Nagrom gets pretty slidey coming through the apex, but it looks like the guys are safely through. So we'll jump to Leon the sick one now as he's coming across the start-finish line to win here at Oschersleben and spin into the wall with Suomi in second.
Very stylish, dramatic end. So Suomi does indeed take second. Jardier is crossing the line in third. Scott will take 4th in the Bentley. A valiant effort in the British beast. Dakusa, our pole man, is going to come across the line in 5th position. He was 9 seconds ahead, or nearly 10 seconds ahead indeed, of the battle with JK and Ace. Through the almond curve, now through the Bauer for the M6, lead M6 indeed. And that is going to be 5th position then for Dakusa. A solid result, very nicely done. JK and 8, next 2 cars down the road. And that is Dakusa's race done. There's JK, did indeed manage to maintain a gap to the Lamborghini behind. JK comes across online in 6th with ADAce. A great battle with those two in 7th. And then it is this battle as it rages on. It's the last cars on the lead lap. Bo is going to hang on to 8th. Nagram is just about fends off Benizili. Oh, that was only just. That was only just between the two. And Andres. Oh, big one. Andres is still on the lead lap in the caddy. Oh, he's actually got a few more behind him. That's T-Mac and Shooter as well. My mistake. A few more on the lead lap than I realised. And here is your confirmation. Leon then taking the win by 2.2 in the end over Suomi, and Jardier, Scott, Dakuza, JK, 88, Bo, Nagram, Benizili, Andrex, T-Max, Shooter, Lusty, Rodders, and Gamasuki. And the last, we lost the rest. So is he who wants to talk to us?
There is nobody in the ready for interview room as of yet. Oh, there's Leon. Our race winner.
And here we go. We've got Leon, Andrex, and Suomi that have made themselves available. So let's grab them all over. Damn it, they were all quiet again. Oh, Scott will grab him over as well. So we do have a nice selection of drivers with us. Right. Oh, Jardier as well. We can't not have that man in. Right, who shall we grab first of all? Well, let's grab hold of Leon, our race winner. Well, you had a lot of fighting to do and quite a lot of it with your own car for a while then, Leon. How's that one feel for you? Leon?
That good, huh?
It's clearly speechless.
He's speechless.
I pushed the talk. I'm so stupid.
Try that one again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was. I didn't expect me to win there again because I'm so bad at qualifying. But I managed to do some really nice laps in the beginning and come up to 2nd position. And I was like, oh, dude, what happened? Maybe I got a chance on this. And I'm behind Jader and thinking we can pull away. And I'm just calming down and taking it easy. And then I see Suomi closing in. And I realize I can't get... The dirty air is so horrible, and it's the same with Sugu last season. So I can't get past Jader, and he's coming closer. So I was like... I didn't want to change tires. I was thinking lap after lap, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? There's nothing I can do. I can never pass the other. So then I thought I'd go into the pit, and I was planning not to change tires. And 50 meters before the pit, I'm like, oh fuck it, I needed tires in case I get behind someone. So I wasn't really fighting the car. I was taking it quite slowly. Maybe I used the throttle a lot to steer the car. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But I won. I'm fucking happy.
Back-to-back wins. Must be happy with that. Like you just said, you're happy. So the answer to that question was yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Very nicely done, and a great win. Well done to you, Leon. Let's jump on over to Jardier. I understand from the channel there might have been a bit of a fuel miscalculation that may have hindered you a little bit. So what happened to your race, sir?
I don't know. I have no words. I just want to say congratulations to Leon and Suomi because their pace was dominant and I was absolutely second wheel in the second half of the race. And I don't know what went wrong because the first stint was pretty good. I knew already that I took like 15 liters too much of the fuel, but I feel like maybe Leon had the same or something. And everything for me went wrong after the pit stop, you know, because before the pit stop, like, Leon was half a second behind, and he always caught me on the brakes, like, so crazy. And then I pulled away a little bit, probably because of the dirty air, and we were, like, all the time at the same pace, you know, only Suomi was a little bit faster. And then after pit stop, my car was complete trash. I think there was, like, a problem with the test strategy because I think I changed the tire pressure before the race or something. And my car was, like, I felt like on a different track, you know, for the rest of the race. I was just having issues and trying to survive because I just couldn't do anything. I was trying my best, but there was nothing I could do to hold with the Suomi and Leon. Absolutely no chance for me. So hats off, guys, because you absolutely destroyed me.
You say that you're only 8 hundredths of a second slower than Suomi. Suomi got the fastest lap with a 35.118, and then Jardier with a 35.1.90, and then Leon with a 35.271. I think these were probably all from the first stint. I think the track conditions were probably a lot better in the first half of the race in comparison to the second.
Yeah, definitely. It was different in the first stint, because in the second stint, I feel like maybe like the first lap after the new tires was the fastest, but then it just went away for me.
Well, we're still fighting it at the top, so yeah, we look forward to how the season will progress. Well done to you, Jardier, for hanging on to that third position. Good job. Then,
Thank you.
Speaking of the podium positions, Suomi, what a great one for you. You really were in contention for taking the win, but it looked like looking at the timings, the sort of second stint, it looks like you were kind of just keeping the rhythm and settling, and just settling your pacing and bringing it home. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I was making more mistakes in the second half, so I was just trying to keep it consistent. I nearly spun twice. Like, I've seen Jardier spin a little bit, and then I nearly did the same thing. I just caught it, and then I think a bunch of laps later, 6 or 7 laps later, I nearly did the same thing. So I thought I'd keep it consistent, but I was still catching Leon slightly, and then I made a mistake, and then I was catching him again, but not enough laps to get behind him, I suppose. But my qualifying wasn't brilliant. I entered the qualifying in the wrong car, so I had to back out, get into the right car, and then I had problems in qualifying, so the track was getting too wet for me to get a real nice lap in. I managed to get one from the grave, and I think I qualified 12th or something, and then I think my teammate and CJ came together, and a few other people come together, so I was just biding my time coming through the pack, and ended up seeing Jardier and Leon there at the front, and I was catching them slowly, and then I thought I'd go in early, try and go for an undercut. Went in, and I stalled the car on the exit of the pit box, didn't I? So that cost me about 3 seconds, I think, something like that. And I was like, oh crap, so I got going, and then there's a catch-up, I suppose, again, you see, and then, yeah, thought, right, don't spin out. It was alright.
Oh, what might have been.
Yes. I got under 3 seconds to Leon in the second stint, and then I made that mistake, and then it went back up to over 4, something like that. Lost the second half or something in my mistake, but yeah, if it hadn't been for those little hiccups, you never know, could have been a battle.
Well done in fighting that mighty Lambert to second. Great job. That's going to make quite a big difference to your season, I think. Hopefully you can keep the momentum going.
Oh, I hope so.
And finally in with us, it is the pilot of the Roaring Bentley. It is Scott. How are you feeling after that one, sir?
Oh my god. Sorry, but I just thought I'd just join because this was going to probably be the closest I'm ever going to get to a podium in the Bentley. So, yeah, overjoyed really. I was not expecting to qualify 4th at all, and I wasn't expecting to finish 4th at all. So, absolutely brilliant result, I think.
But keeping an eye on the timings as the race was coming to a close, it did look like you were closing in on Jardier enough to have at least challenged for that third. I guess there was a mistake in there somewhere because suddenly the gap increased. Was he just pushing that a little bit too hard, or just what happened?
But basically I was just pushing that little bit extra. I saw I was catching Jardier, and I thought, oh my god, I could be in a podium here. Could be good. I mean, even just fighting with Jardier, that would be awesome. So I was just trying to push that little bit of extra 10th here and there, and it just slightly got the loose on the rear of the car and spun it. But I don't care. I really don't care. I'm just happy with the 4th place, to be honest. Yeah, the only thing which I think I could have probably lapped them in the pits, but the only thing was my pit crew changed all 4 of my tyres, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. I only waited the rear 2, but nevertheless I am happy with 4th.
Awesome, brilliant job, well done to you. And no one else is available. No one else has made themselves available, so I think it's a good time to wrap this one up.
Sounds good to me. Apart from Androx, he's just sat there lurking. He's probably waving his hand and going, "Pick me, pick me, pick me." What happened at the spin at the end?
Well, how it lasted 26 laps before that happened is beyond me. Yeah, it's a little bit slidey, that thing. No, it was quite fun, to be fair. I forgot to pull into the pits on the last to let everybody through. I was a bit too kind of in the zone, almost. Too much hard work kind of keeping that thing straight. I was having pedal issues again, bloody always, but yeah, no, it was good fun. And an outside drift pass round to Heidi, as far as I'm concerned, I have beaten Project Cars 2 now, so I'm done. Yeah, all good.
An everlasting memory for you.
It's nice to just put a silly car in the grid, to be fair.
Great.
Yeah, it was good to see a bit of variety.
Yeah.
Great job. Well, I think it's time to wrap this one up then. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. A great pleasure to have you with us. Thank you very much to our drivers for putting on an amazing show once again for AOR. A great pleasure to commentate on. Thank you very much, Yorkie, for tolerating me in your commentary box. It's a great honour and a pleasure, sir.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine. It was a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and I hope that we will find each other in the commentary box again whenever Fizzy is next absent.
Absolutely, absolutely. So come back to us very soon for some more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.